What is it about the Scottish Highlands that pulls so many people here? For months now, I've been slowly making my way north up the east coast of Scotland, and finally I've made it here, Inverness, and the beginning of the Highlands. For centuries, people have been drawn here for its beauty, its history, and its mysteries. And over the next couple of days, we're going to explore this area together as I continue my journey around the entire coast of mainland Scotland. Good morning, everyone. It's around about 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a nice bright day outside, and if you've been following my journey in this series around the entire coast of mainland Scotland, you'll know that I've now made it to the capital of the Highlands, Inverness, and it's one of my favourite cities in Scotland. Now, it's nice and bright outside, the forecast is good for today, so fingers crossed that holds. Now, if you remember from last week's episode, we finished off the Moray coast coming from the east, but there was a couple of things that I wanted to go and see in between here and there, and I have decided to make Inverness a little base because there is so much to see, not just in Inverness, but around the surrounding area as well. And I have to cover them for a couple of reasons. One, there's quite a lot of things that I've not seen before myself, and two, they just look and sound absolutely amazing, and I want to bring you with me. So that's what I'm going to do. This is going to give you a really good idea of what you can see and do in the city and the surrounding area. And for those of you that are new here and you've maybe never watched any of my content before, hello, I'm David, the Scottish man in a van. I've been living in my van for over 3.5 years now in Scotland, and I'm currently driving the entire coast of the mainland, trying to support a buy local message as I go, cooking in the van with locally sourced produce, visiting local businesses as I go on this amazing adventure. And we'll go to various different places along the way, whether they're historical or whether they're beaches or cliff walks, hiking as we go now into the Highlands. It's been an epic adventure so far, coming all the way up the east coast, starting down in the borders, visiting the likes of Eyemouth, St Abbs, Dunbar, North Berwick, all the way up the North Berwickshire coast, and then along the beautiful East Lothian coast into our nation's capital of Edinburgh, moving on to Falkirk, Stirling, all the way around the coast in Fife, the beautiful East Neuk and beyond, and then into Perth, my old home city of Dundee, all the way up the Angus coast, Aberdeenshire coast, up to the Broch, Fraserburgh, and then along the Aberdeenshire coast, and finally the Moray coast, which brings me here to Inverness. It's been an epic journey so far, and I'm really excited for this episode, and I'm going to take you and bring you along with me. Let's go on a wee adventure. Walking through the gates at Clava Cairns, it genuinely feels like stepping into another world. Hidden among the trees just outside Inverness, this Bronze Age cemetery was built around 4,000 years ago, raised by farming communities in the Nairn Valley to house their dead. But only the most important members of those communities would have been buried here. The people who built these cairns left no written records. So much of what we understand comes from the stones themselves. There are passage graves, ring cairns, standing stones and kerb cairns here, all carefully laid out within this ancient landscape. The two passage graves are aligned to the midwinter sunset. On the shortest day of the year, sunlight travels through the passageway and reaches the burial chamber inside. And that tells us something important. This wasn't random. The builders of these cairns understood the movement of the sun and designed this place around it. Even the colour of the stones appear to matter. Red and pink stones were placed facing the midwinter sunset, while paler stones were used towards the midsummer sunrise. Inside the southwest cairn, some stones carry cup and ring markings, prehistoric rock art, whose meaning has long since been lost. And this site at Clava was later reused over many centuries, with later burials added long after the cairns were first built. And even after all this time, weather, Victorian digging, restoration and thousands of visitors annually, this place still holds something powerful. It really is a glimpse into the Bronze Age world built around death, ritual, sunlight and stone. Right, so this is just magical. I'd never been here before. I'd seen reels done here before. Andy the Highlander done stuff here, and I've always meant to come, but I had no idea that it was going to be like this. I've been to Orkney, my first ever series on here back early last year. My first ever series from Orkney. That was the first time I'd ever experienced standing stones. The oldest in the whole of UK at the Stones of Scottishmaninavan. A sunrise at the Ring of Brodgar all to myself. It was incredible. But this is, it's actually magical. Like, we've got the cairn there, all the stones all around it, and then just look what's in front. Another cairn with the stones, the small cairn there, and then the big huge one at the start again. What am I actually walking among here? It is quite magical. And you just hear the birds early morning. This is like walking on sacred ground. It really does feel like that. I'm not religious in any way, and I'm not really that spiritual or anything like that, but you definitely feel something here. And that's the thing as well, even just with the standing stones, some of them are really tall, like that one. They're not tall like the stones of Scottishmaninavan or the Culloden stones, but some of them are really thick. How did they move them and transport them to all these different places and get them in the ground like that? And they're still standing, 4,000 or 5,000 years later, some of them over 5,000 years in Orkney, certainly. And the cairns as well. You could just imagine what that must have been like to walk in the cairns when the roof was fully built as well. This is an absolute must if you're in Inverness. And I would just suggest getting here early like I've done, and you'll beat the crowds. Ultimately, I wanted to get here early before anyone else so I could get my drone in the air and not disturb anyone. And I've managed to do that. There's just 2 other people that have joined me on site now, long after I got my drone out the air, so I came just at the right time. Early bird catches the worm, as they say. But I must move on. And next up, the site of one of the most important and significant battles in Scottish history. Culloden. Culloden changes the feeling of the journey completely. Up to this point, a lot of this road trip has been about discovery, landscapes, castles, old villages, and hidden corners of Scotland. But here, standing on this moor just outside Inverness, you're standing on ground where the course of Highland history changed forever. And even now, almost 300 years later, the silence here feels heavy. The Battle of Culloden took place on the 16th of April 1746. It lasted less than an hour, but the consequences of it would reshape the Highlands for generations. To understand why this battle happened, you have to look far beyond Scotland itself. This wasn't simply Scotland versus England. In reality, it was far more complicated than that. The Jacobites, led by Charles Edward Stuart, better known as Bonnie Prince Charlie, wanted to restore the exiled House of Stuart to the British throne. Many Highland clans supported that cause, but not all. Some Highlanders fought for the Jacobites, others fought for the British government army under the Duke of Cumberland. Scots from the Lowlands and the Highlands fought on both sides here at Culloden. And beyond Britain, powerful European nations were also involved indirectly, especially France, who supported the Jacobite cause because Britain was one of its greatest rivals. Politics, religion, power, loyalty to clan, loyalty to crown, all of it collided here on this moor. By the morning of the battle, the Jacobite army was exhausted, hungry, and badly positioned. The ground here, wet, uneven, and boggy, worked against the Highland charge they were famous for. And facing them was a well-drilled government army, equipped with artillery and disciplined infantry formations. When the fighting began, it quickly turned brutal. The Jacobite lines were torn apart by cannon fire and musket volleys before many could even reach the enemy, and yet despite that, many still charged. Clan after clan pushed forward into devastating fire. Within less than an hour, it was over. Around 1,500 Jacobites are believed to have died or been wounded here. Government losses were far smaller. And across this battlefield today, the clan stones mark where many of those Highlanders fell. Fraser, Campbell, McGilvery, Cameron, MacLean, Stewart, McLaughlin, names that still echo across Scotland today. And nearby, there are also memorials acknowledging the government soldiers who died here too. Because however people view Culloden now, the reality is this battlefield consumed lives on both sides. And then came what followed, because for many Highland communities, the battle itself was only the beginning. In the years after Culloden, the British government moved aggressively to crush Highland clan culture and prevent another uprising. Weapons were banned, the carrying of arms became illegal, the clan system was dismantled. And famously, laws were introduced restricting Highland dress, including the wearing of tartan and kilts. Bagpipes too were heavily targeted in the aftermath. The old Highland way of life began to unravel. Entire communities would eventually be cleared from the land in the decades that followed. And for many people, Culloden became a symbol of that loss, a turning point where the old Highlands began to disappear. And yet at the same time, history here is still debated, because Scotland itself has always been complicated, divided by politics, religion, identity, loyalty, and ideas about what the country should be. Even today, those divisions still exist in different forms. You still see debates around independence or unionism, Catholic and Protestant identities, different visions of Scotland's future. And maybe that's partly why Culloden still feels emotional to so many people, because it doesn't just belong to the past. In some ways, it still echoes into the present. And then there's Leakey Cottage, one of the last surviving buildings standing on the battlefield itself. During the fighting, terrified occupants sheltered inside while musket balls and cannon fire ripped across the moor outside. The cottage became an unwilling witness to one of the darkest mornings in Highland history. And standing beside it today, with the wind moving through the grass and the battlefield stretching out around you, it's difficult not to imagine the fear, chaos and noise that once filled this place. Now, all that remains is silence. A silence broken only by the wind and the memory of what happened here. Culloden is one of these sort of places. It does get you when you're here. I remember the first time I came here, I got goosebumps on my arms when I was walking among these fields. You know, I don't know if it's because you're essentially walking on a war burial site or what, but it's one of these sort of places, you know, that does it. And when you go through the display and the exhibitions, and obviously read up about it before you come as well, and then when you're walking here you can try and picture it all. I mean, it was absolutely brutal, and the Jacobites were slaughtered. It's quite something. And next up we're actually going to another historical site, and it was a castle that I drove past when I was coming along the A96. I hadn't heard of it and I have never been there before, and after looking at it online I made the decision that I absolutely must include it on this road trip. We're going to Cawdor Castle and Gardens. Wow, this place is incredible. Look at that. As I crossed the bridge and stepped beneath the stone archway of Cawdor Castle, it honestly felt like walking into another era of Scotland. Not a ruined castle frozen in time, but somewhere that still feels alive. Somewhere that has been shaped, altered and lived in for hundreds upon hundreds of years. And unlike many of Scotland's castles that now sit empty and crumbling against the landscape, Cawdor still feels like a home, a place where history never really stopped. The origins of Cawdor stretch back centuries. The Thanes of Cawdor are first mentioned in written records in 1295, although there were likely many generations before that whose names have simply been lost to time. Construction of the central tower you see today began around 1370, during a turbulent period in Scottish history, not long after the Wars of Independence. Surrounded by thick stone walls, narrow passageways and centuries-old timber, you can feel that medieval history in every corner of this castle. But perhaps the most famous connection tied to Cawdor Castle is one that blurs the lines between fact and legend. Shakespeare's Macbeth made the name Thane of Cawdor known all across the world, although historically the real Macbeth lived centuries before this castle was ever built. Still, that connection remains woven deeply into the identity of this place and adds another layer of mystery to a castle already full of stories. And there's one story in particular that sits right at the heart of Cawdor Castle. Hidden away in the lower vault is the remains of a holly tree, a tree believed to have died sometime around 1372. According to legend, the Thane of Cawdor loaded a donkey with gold and was told to build his new castle wherever the animal chose to rest for the night. The donkey eventually stopped beneath a holly tree, and so the castle was built around it. Whether the story is true or not, the remains of that tree are still preserved within the castle to this day, hidden beneath layers of stone, history and centuries of change. And that's what really makes Cawdor so fascinating. It wasn't simply built once and left untouched. Every generation added something new. New wings, new halls, new staircases, new gardens. You can actually trace the evolution of the castle through the centuries. The Campbells of Cawdor became part of that story in the early 1500s through the marriage of Muriel Cawdor and Sir John Campbell. But even that chapter began with drama. As a child, Muriel, heir to the Cawdor estate, was kidnapped during a power struggle involving the Earl of Argyll. According to the records here in the castle, she was even branded for identification and had part of her finger bitten off before being taken away. It sounds almost unbelievable now, but these kinds of clan rivalries and political struggles shaped much of medieval Scotland. And yet, despite all of that conflict, despite wars, political upheaval, shifting alliances, and even the Battle of Culloden taking place just 8 miles from here in 1746, Cawdor Castle endured. Walking through the rooms today, what struck me most wasn't just the age of the place, but the detail, the craftsmanship. Tapestries brought here from Belgium in the late 1600s, grand dining rooms and intimate corridors all existing together beneath one roof. Then outside everything changes again, and this was my favourite part of my visit today. The gardens surrounding Cawdor feel peaceful in a way that completely contrasts the castle's long and sometimes violent history. The walled garden originally began as a practical kitchen garden, growing herbs, fruit and vegetables for medicinal and culinary use. But over time it evolved into something far more ornamental and beautiful. Today there are perfectly manicured hedges, colourful flower gardens, quiet pathways, and even a holly maze designed in the 1980s. And maybe that's the beauty of places like this. Cawdor Castle isn't just a monument to Scotland's past, it's a place that continued adapting to every century that came after it. From medieval fortress to family home to one of the country's most beautiful historic estates. Even now, more than 650 years after construction first began on the tower, work and restoration still continues here. Which means Cawdor isn't simply preserving history, it's still living it. And it is fantastic. Well, wasn't that just absolutely amazing? I am so glad I decided to make this stop. When I was in Nairn at Nairn Beach in the previous episode, I had a look on Google Maps and I saw this castle and I thought, oh, I've never heard of that before. I'll go and have a look at it online, and I obviously saw some pictures and I thought, I've got to come here. I've been totally blown away. It is absolutely stunning. The staff do such an amazing job looking after the grounds in particular. The gardens are sensational. The castle's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but the grounds are something else. That's one of the best sort of built castles, if you like, that I've been to. It was honestly that good. It was superb. Staff were dead friendly as well. I just wish I'd contacted them to try and see if I could get permission to fly my drone or something. Because could you imagine what those grounds must look like from the air, from above? Oh man, I would have loved to have seen it. But yeah, not to be. And it is a busy place. I mean, the car park, you seen when I was driving in, it was busy. It was quite a challenge trying to keep as many people out of the footage as I possibly could. It was pretty challenging, but I think I got there. But anyway, I'm pretty hungry now. I'm going to head back to Inverness. And I'm in Nairnshire now, so I've probably got about half an hour or so to go back along the A96 and into Inverness. I'm going to get parked up, grab myself some lunch, and then later this afternoon I'm going to head sort of northwest, if you like, from Inverness, as if you're going towards Fort William, into Glen Urquhart and Loch Ness. And remember, if you've enjoyed what you've watched so far, please remember to hit the subscribe button. Around about 40% of my viewers every week haven't actually subscribed to my channel, and every subscription will help my channel grow and help YouTube show my videos to a wider audience. And if you're one of those people, please hit the subscribe button now and never miss a weekly episode. Few places in Scotland are as famous as Loch Ness, and it's known around the world for one thing: Nessie. For generations, stories of a mysterious creature lurking beneath these dark waters have captured people's imaginations. But the loch itself is every bit as impressive as the legend. It holds more fresh water than all the lakes, rivers and reservoirs in England and Wales combined. When you're standing on its shores, it feels enormous. Yet even this giant pales in comparison to places like Lake Superior in North America, a lake so large that it's bigger than Scotland itself, which is a humbling thought. But I didn't come here to go monster hunting. I came here for a journey into our past. Earlier in this episode, I explored the Clava Cairns near Inverness, a remarkable Bronze Age cemetery built around 4,000 years ago. But hidden away here in Glen Urquhart is another prehistoric monument that feels altogether different. At first glance, Corrimony Chamber Cairn appears surprisingly modest. There are no grand visitor centres, no crowds of people moving through the site, just a quiet Highland glen, a ring of standing stones and a mound of rock that has endured for around 4 millennia. What makes this place special isn't immediately obvious from the outside, it's what's hidden within. Built during the Neolithic period, Corrimony was constructed by some of Scotland's earliest farming communities. Like Clava, it served as a burial monument, but unlike many chambered cairns across the country, much of Corrimony survives remarkably intact, and that allows us to experience it in a way that's becoming increasingly rare. The only way inside is through a narrow stone passageway, and even today you have to crouch down and crawl your way through the entrance. It's only when you squeeze through that confined opening that you begin to appreciate the effort that went into building this place. Stone by stone, generation after generation, creating a monument designed to endure. At the centre lies the burial chamber itself. Protected beneath tons of stone and earth, it has survived thousands of years of Highland weather, changing cultures and shifting landscapes. It's not an enormous space, in fact it's surprisingly intimate, and perhaps that's what makes it so powerful. You're not looking at a reconstruction, you're not looking at a replica, you're looking inside a structure built by people who lived here around 4,000 years ago. And from above, Corrimony reveals another side of itself. Seen from the air, the cairn almost resembles a giant eye looking upwards towards the sky. An eye that has watched the seasons pass, year after year, century after century, long before the arrival of castles, before the clans, before Scotland even existed as a nation. And yet, despite all the archaeological work carried out here, much of Corrimony remains a mystery. We know roughly when it was built, we know how it was constructed, we know it was used by a community who lived and farmed in this place. But beyond that, there are still far more questions than answers. What did these people believe? What ceremonies took place here? Why was this exact location chosen? And what did they hope to happen after death? Those answers disappeared long ago. The stories of the people who built Corrimony may be lost, but their work remains. 4,000 years later, we're still crawling through the same stone passage, asking the very same questions. And perhaps that's the real power of places like this. Not that they give us answers, but that they continue to spark our curiosity thousands of years after they were built. Well, that was awesome. It's so much more intact than I could have even imagined. I mean, pretty much everything is there. Almost the whole roof is still there. It's just that little centrepiece that, you know, from above it kind of looks like, you know, an eyeball, essentially. That little empty bit that you're standing in. But other than that, it's fully complete. And the stone circle around about it, I mean, it's just, I love stuff like that. It's just so magical, and there's so much mystique and wonder about what it was, what was it for, what was the significance of it. Yeah, I love all that stuff. But that is one of the most impressive cairns I've ever seen, just because it is so intact, especially with the roof. It's been so well preserved. I'm really glad I took this detour and made the stop. I'm really, really happy I did. But we must move on to my next stop. Overlooking the waters of Loch Ness, my final stop today is one of the most iconic locations anywhere in the Highlands, Urquhart Castle. Perched on a rocky headland above the loch, these ruins have become one of Scotland's most recognisable landmarks. But long before visitors arrive with cameras and tour buses, this was one of the most strategically important strongholds in the Highlands. The story of Urquhart stretches back more than 800 years, although some historians believe there may have been an earlier Pictish fortification here, long before the medieval castle was built. The castle itself first appears in historical records during the 13th century, and from the very beginning it found itself caught up in conflict. During the Wars of Scottish Independence, control of Urquhart changed hands multiple times between the Scottish and English forces. Captured, recaptured, besieged and fought over repeatedly, its importance was simple. Whoever controlled Urquhart controlled one of the main routes through the Highlands. This wasn't just a castle overlooking a loch, it was a gateway into the Great Glen itself. And for centuries that made it a valuable prize. As the years passed, the castle continued to play a central role in Highland politics and warfare. Raids by rival clans were common. One of the most significant attacks came in the 15th century, when the forces loyal to Alexander of Islay, Lord of the Isles, seized the castle during a period of unrest that affected much of northern Scotland. Even after it was recovered, life here remained uncertain. The castle was constantly repaired, strengthened and adapted to meet new threats. But despite all the fighting, what strikes me most about Urquhart today isn't its military history, it's simply the setting. Few castles anywhere in Scotland occupy a more dramatic location. From the battlements, the waters of Loch Ness stretch for more than 20 miles through the Great Glen. Surrounded by forest, hills and some of the most famous scenery in the country. It's easy to understand why people have been drawn to this landscape for centuries. But by the late 17th century, Urquhart's military importance was beginning to fade, and in 1692, government troops deliberately blew up sections of the castle to prevent it from falling into Jacobite hands. The explosion left much of the fortress in ruins, creating the dramatic silhouette that survives today. What remains isn't a perfectly preserved castle, far from it. It's the result of centuries of conflict written directly into the stonework. And perhaps that's what makes Urquhart so memorable. Not because it's Scotland's largest castle, not because it's the most complete, but because it feels like the Highlands in a single location. Ancient history, clan rivalries, wars, legends, mystery, and one of the most spectacular settings anywhere in the country. It's a place where Scotland's story and Scotland's landscape come together on the shores of Loch Ness. It's hard to imagine a better place to spend the end of a Highland day, but tomorrow the journey continues, because after exploring some of the most iconic locations around Inverness, it's finally time to head into the Highland capital itself. Well, good morning everyone. I'm really excited because this is something I've never done before. and I'm actually going to be going on a boat. Well, I say a boat, it's not your traditional wildlife cruise. They do those, but I'm going to be going on a high-speed rib out into the Moray Firth to see if we can find some dolphins and wildlife. And there was a report yesterday, my girlfriend messaged me and said that I think is it a humpback whale was seen in the Moray Firth. So will I get to see it? Who knows? But we're going to be going out. I booked it with a company called Dolphin Spirit Inverness. I just booked it online the other day whilst I was here. Wanted to try and do something a little bit different because I know Inverness very well. It is the capital of the Highlands. I've spent a lot of time here over the years. I absolutely love Inverness. If I was gonna ever settle down into bricks and mortar and live in a city again or near one, it would probably be Inverness, because it is just the gateway to the Highlands, you know. I just love how vibrant it is, especially during season and especially at night. You know, all the pubs and stuff on Church Street, and I love it. Love all that Scottish music and that kind of thing. So, but I wanted to try and find something a little bit different for me to do as well when we're exploring the city. And I've got a huge day of filming ahead to try and show you some of my favourite bits of Inverness, and let's hope we get off to a great start and spot some dolphins.
Clip together two parts of the buckle, big like clip, like so.
That's old farts on
Was that two old farts in a boat?
Yeah, two old farts in a boat.
We don't even need a motor.
Right, let's get going.
That's a bit more like it, isn't it? This river is an absolute beast, and even if I don't see any dolphins or wildlife today, I'm not going to be disappointed. This is great fun, and we've got a little bit of chop today as well. Not Wolf of Wall Street chop, but we definitely have a little bit of chop, so it's great, especially in a vessel like this. I'd much prefer this than actually probably one of the big cruise ones, because you're kind of riding the waves in this with the power. Awesome fun. So we've just been at Channery Point there, and Peter's telling everyone on board about Fort George, which is absolutely amazing. It was in my previous episode. If you haven't watched it, I would urge you to do so, and highly recommend you visit that place. It's quite something. Didn't see any dolphins, but Peter did explain that we're on a low tide at the moment, so they do tend to be further out. The reasons why the dolphins go there is that narrow sort of stretch in the Moray Firth between Channery Point and Fort George. That's where they are. The salmon obviously come from the sea and come up into the river, and they have to go through that sort of bottleneck, if you like, but they tend to come in on the high tide. So the dolphins tend to be a little bit further out. So we're heading a little bit further out now. see if our luck changes. But it is quite choppy, and I know from my experience along the Moray coast already looking for dolphins at Spey Bay, when it's choppy it is more difficult. It's more difficult to see them breaching the water when you've got the waves and the chop to contend with. I should say as well that this rib is called mischief, as in getting up to mischief, and I can see why. Absolutely soaking. No, we're slowing down again, so have another wee scan and see if we can see some dolphins. It's so difficult to see anything with the chop though. Have a wee look. So we're just coming up to White Ness sands here. I'll just show you here. There's actually a couple of seals on the beaches there. In fact, there's more than a couple. There's quite a lot there. I might need to use my phone here to zoom in. That's us making our way back in now. I've done so for the last 5-10 minutes from White and Ness. You can actually see Fort George again, which means that we're coming into Fort George and Channery Point to that bottleneck. So could this be our last chance to possibly see some dolphins today? I don't know. Oh, I really hope I do. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We saw dolphins!
Yeah!
Yes!
Great.
Stunning, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
It's nice and gentle.
Really nice.
Great. Good.
Well, that was just awesome. Seen them for a good 3 or 4 minutes there feeding. They're such majestic creatures. I thought I saw something there, but I don't think I did. I think it's my eyes playing tricks on me. Come on. Let's get a couple more. Right, we're heading back in now, and it is going to be a fast, bumpy ride all the way back in. Let's go. It is fast, going to have no hair left by the time this trip finishes. This is Peter, the skipper. Thank you very much.
Not at all,
honestly,
David.
what an absolute pleasure that was.
Pleasure having you on board.
No, and I'm so
glad we found some dolphins eventually.
Yeah, no, it was hard conditions today though with the
it
wake
was quite
and that.
choppy.
But what an experience, and this is an absolute beast of
It's a
mischief.
beast of a thing.
It is. But no,
I'm
listen.
very privileged to be able to do this.
No, listen, thank you so much.
No
Honestly,
worries.
brilliant. Thank you again.
So,
So that was an amazing experience. I've met this lovely couple here from Michigan, and you're here why?
Because it's their 50th anniversary in September, so we're
Yeah,
celebrating.
so we're celebrating early. We're doing the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you
Oh,
both.
it's been great, yeah.
So enjoy the rest of your time
Yeah.
here.
David,
Thank
we
you.
had a blast with
Yeah.
you. You look great. Enjoy, and
I hope you
can't
enjoy
wait
the video
to,
when you
we can't
see
wait
it.
to be watching you.
Cheers,
All right.
thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Oh, what a lovely couple, and just an amazing experience I've just had. What a way to start your day and your trip in Inverness. It's something I'd never done before. I wanted to include something a little bit different, you know, for people to consider when they come to Inverness, rather than just the usual, you know, castles nearby and all that kind of stuff. I've covered all that. There's so much more to the city, and unique experiences like that is just one of many. I do have a full day of filming ahead. They've actually got a shower there at the marina that I can use for free, so I'm going to take advantage of that, get myself cleaned up, and then we'll make our way into the city centre. Took advantage of the shower at the marina, all showered, changed, and the sun has decided to come out. What an amazing day it is now this afternoon in Inverness, and it would be a shame not to just take a gentle stroll into town for the rest of the day. And just a short distance from the car parking and the leisure centre is this bridge, which takes you over to the beautiful Ness Islands. And that is my first stop today as I make my way across the river and into the city centre. There is a bit of a wobble to it, like all these suspension bridges. Just a short walk from the centre of Inverness lies a completely different side of the city. Connected by a series of Victorian suspension bridges, Ness Islands sit in the middle of the River Ness, creating a peaceful network of woodland paths and riverside walks. It's hard to believe you're only minutes from the city centre. Surrounded by towering trees, birds singing, and the constant sound of flowing water, this feels less like an urban park and more like a small pocket of Highland wilderness hidden in the heart of Inverness itself. What a great walk. I've not done it before. I'm glad I made this choice. It's a beautiful woodland walk, and you can just imagine what it would look like at night with it all lit up with all these lights that are everywhere between the trees and the old lampposts. And that has me now come to the other side of the river through the Ness Islands walk. It's a beautiful little walk that. Well, what a day I've got. It would have been great if it was like this morning when I was out on the boat, but that's how quickly the weather can change in Scotland. 4 seasons in one day and all that. And this path here is actually part of the Great Glen Way. It's a walk that I would love to do at some point in future. See up ahead here a couple that have clearly on it. Maybe one day. I mean, I've still not done the West Highland Way either, so that's first on my list, I think. Cape Wrath Trail would be second, I reckon, currently. But this is a no bad wee walk. I'm getting pretty hungry now though, so I think I'm gonna go and grab something to eat.
Just the one, please.
So much.
There you go, my man.
Brilliant. Oh, what a day for it. Slanjava. Ah, this place, the Castle Tavern, used to be quite a regular haunt of mine when I worked in Inverness occasionally back in the day. You're talking, 10 plus years ago now, I would say. Maybe not quite that, but pretty close. It's a great wee spot, this, with the beer garden and that outside. There's something else getting built down there, and I don't know if it's part of the same place or not, or if it's somewhere else. But on a day like today, it's just ideal. And who doesn't love a little bit of people watching as you look down onto the street and up towards the castle?
Hello, here's your food.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Enjoy yourself.
Cheers. Oh, this looks amazing. Not gonna lie. Right to see it. Oh, that is delicious. It's one of these things when it's nice and hot outside and the sun's out. I do like a wee salad. You can't beat a wee chicken Caesar salad, can you? Lovely jubbly. Just behind me here is Inverness Castle. Although a castle has stood on this site in one form or another for centuries, the red sandstone building you see today is actually much newer than many people realise. Completed in 1836, it was designed by architect William Byrne and built on the site of an earlier medieval fortress that played an important role in Highland history. The castle overlooks the River Ness and occupies one of the most commanding positions in the city, which is exactly why this location has been fortified for hundreds of years. Today the building serves a very different purpose, but it remains one of the most recognisable landmarks in Inverness and a symbol of the Highland capital itself. Standing proudly outside the castle is the statue of Flora MacDonald, one of Scotland's most famous historical figures. Following the Battle of Culloden in 1746, Flora famously helped Bonnie Prince Charlie evade capture by disguising him as her Irish maid, Betty Burke, and helping him escape to the Isle of Skye. Her actions became the stuff of legend, earning her a permanent place in Scotland's history and folklore. This sort of square and gardens here at the castle is stunning. It is beautiful, and it's free to wander about the gardens. And you do have a brand new exhibition called the Inverness Castle Experience. I'm not going to be doing it today. I don't think I would be able to film in any case. But it's a lovely little garden and castle, yeah. Right in the heart of Inverness sits the Victorian Market. First opened in 1891, this market has been a part of city life for well over a century. Inside you'll find a mix of independent businesses, cafes, food vendors and local traders, blending the character of a traditional market with a more modern food hall experience. It's one of those places where locals and visitors naturally come together, making it a great place to get a feel for everyday life in the city. And tucked away inside a former church, on Church Street, is one of the most unique bookshops in Scotland, Leakey's Bookshop. Housed within the old Gaelic church, this remarkable space is Scotland's largest second-hand bookshop, with thousands upon thousands of books lining the shelves from floor to ceiling. At the centre of it all sits a large wood-burning stove, adding to the atmosphere of a place that feels part bookshop, part library, and part step back in time. Now this is Church Street in Inverness, and it might be quiet now, but it really picks up here at night, pretty much every night of the week, but especially at the weekends. You've got bars here like the Highlander bar behind me here, and then a little bit just across the road, about 30 yards, you've got a bar called Hootenanny, and they both do music pretty much every night of the week. Traditional Scottish music. I've seen people just turning up from various different countries in Norway and others with just their own instruments. They bring them along and just start playing around a round table during the week, and then at the weekends on Fridays and Saturdays you get full bands, a lot of young sort of lads that are local, maybe with an accordion or a flute or something else, and they create a really good atmosphere, almost like a ceilidh playing Scottish jig music. It is a brilliant city to come out in, and it's seriously underrated in my opinion. And then you've got a bar just down here as well called the Black Isle Bar. Now, after this episode I am actually going to be heading to the Black Isle. That's where the next episode is going to be from. Fortrose, Rosemarkie, Corrimony. I cannot wait. It's a beautiful part of the country. And there's your Black Isle Bar there. And they've got a really nice beer garden there that you can sit outside. It's all lit up at night and that. It's really, really good. And the lager is tremendous. And this is one of the things I love about Inverness. There's music on pretty much every single day of the week in the pubs. And a lot of Scottish music as well. You just don't get that. Can't remember a single pub in Dundee when I lived there for 20 plus years that did Scottish music like that. And it's becoming more and more popular now. Scottish music with bands like Beluga Lagoon and Skerryvore and various others. There's tons of bands doing that now, and it's great to see. And a lot of these younger musicians that play in a lot of these bars, they are superb at what they do. Inverness is often called the gateway to the Highlands, and after spending some time here, I think it's much more than that. Within a short drive, you can find yourself walking among 4,000-year-old monuments, standing on one of the most important battlefields in Scottish history, exploring castles, watching dolphins in the Moray Firth, or looking out across the mysterious waters of Loch Ness. There's few places in Scotland that bring together history, landscape, wildlife and Highland culture quite like this, which perhaps explains why for so many people Inverness becomes far more than just a stop on the road. But for me, I must move on and continue my journey around the entire coast of mainland Scotland. Join me next week as we explore the magnificent Black Isle. Like and subscribe for more van life adventures.